Leading Britain's conversation, The Nigel Farage Show.
Mr. Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Donald, and good evening, everybody. Well, David Davis, the Brexit Secretary, a man that I campaigned with, I shared platforms with during the referendum campaign, the man that I thought was the ultimate hardliner in this government, the man that would absolutely guarantee that Brexit meant Brexit, has said in a speech in Riga, Latvia, that British people need a lot of persuading. It would indeed will take years and years to get them to do the jobs currently done by EU workers, and he would only restrict free movement of people. I won't rehearse the referendum argument, but clearly that was the winning one. And I'm asking you tonight, I'm appealing to you. If you're a Brexit voter, does this make you angry? And if it does, please call me on 0345 60 60 973, text me at 84850, tweet me at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC, and you can watch us live here from Washington, D.C. on LBC's Facebook page. I am astonished that of all the people, it's David Davis that has said this. I assume if we mean we're going to continue with free movement of people, we mean free access to the health service, free education system for people's children. I just wonder whether, like me, you feel a little bit betrayed by what's been said by David Davis, of all people. And first up, to tell me what he thinks, is Gary in Dagenham. Gary, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Nigel. Just wanted to start off by saying I think you're great, and you like the Pied Piper, and I love the toot from your flute. But as for David Davis's point, no, I don't agree with him. I voted for Brexit to control borders and have a Australian points-based system. We're always going to need immigrants and people coming into this country for nursing and fruit picking, etc. But the point of Brexit was to put those controls in place, having free movement. I mean, what changes? What was the Brexit vote all about, really?
Well, Gary, frankly, nothing. I mean, if we absolutely do need seasonal fruit pickers or whatever it may be, and there are people from Latvia or Bulgaria or wherever it is that are happy to do those jobs for the money that's being offered, that's fine. You could issue them a short-term work permit. Exactly, but what you don't do... Yeah. I mean, that's the common sense approach. And yet that, I think, Gary, that is the bit of this that is so shocking, is that David Davis is saying... Yeah,
I really don't see what the big deal is, why we can't operate a system like all these other countries. I don't see what the problem... Why is it so difficult? It works in other countries. Why can't it work here?
Well, Gary, actually, it works all over the world. It's only in the European Union where we have this free movement concept. But the other point is, I mean, what they're basically saying, what he's saying, is that there is a cultural problem here and that British workers won't do these jobs. Do you think he's right or not?
I think maybe I slightly agree with him. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if people want to come here and do these jobs, then we've got a points-based system in place, then at least we're controlling the numbers coming in rather than having free movement.
Yeah, Gary, you've made the point beautifully. That's what you voted for. That's what millions of people voted for. And that's what David Davis appears to have turned his back on, which I suspect is making people angry. It's making me angry. Is it making Mark in Palmer's Green angry, I wonder?
Oh, hello there, Nigel. Yes, it is making me very angry. In fact, I've really respected David Davis as one of the hardline, free Brexiteers, and the number one reason I voted leave was because of the monumental influx of unskilled cheap labour from Eastern Europe. It hit me hard, being in the building trade. It absolutely hit me hard, and it put me out of business, and many friends who have lost their livelihoods. And I would just say that David Davis needs to come and walk in my shoes just for 1 week, and he might soon change his mind on that decision he's making.
Yeah, I mean, he does, Mark. I mean, there is a bigger point here. which is that a lot of the people who come from Eastern Europe are very hardworking and employers like them, and it's only fair and reasonable to acknowledge that and to say that. But surely, as our previous caller Gary said, if you absolutely need this labour, you control it with a work permit, a point system. You do whatever you need to do. What you don't do is continue with free, open movement. And I tell you, Mark, what's ironic, what's really ironic, is he said that in Latvia. I had a coffee last week with the former president of Lithuania. He told me since they joined the European Union, they've lost 25% of their population. A quarter of the country has left. All the bright young doctors, all the bright young accountants. So very often we talk about free movement having damaged the way of life in the United Kingdom. Actually, it's been devastating for those Baltic state countries and not good for either, Mark, in my view.
Oh, this whole political project has damaged every blooming country in the European Union. Oh, I just can't wait for it to just crumble and disappear. It's just the worst idea that anybody's ever had in the history of mankind. Political project. Oh, God, I loathe it with all my being. The cabbages were still being picked pre-2004. The building work was still being done by me. You know, plumbing, electrical work, etc., etc. You know, I mean, for example, I'll give you an example. The other day, I found myself in the unfortunate position of being unemployed just lately. And I called for a job the other day for ground working, and the man said to me, "I'll pay you £40 a day." And I said, "You are obviously, you must be joking." And he said, "Listen, my friend, I've got people, Eastern Europeans, lining up, more than happy to do that job for £40 a day." That's what we're up against, Nigel. That's what we are having to live
Mark,
with.
I agree with that. And Mark, you're one of the few callers that makes me feel like a Europhile Heathite. So Eurosceptic are you? And I enjoyed very much what you had to say. Your texts and tweets coming in. Nigel, is Davis doing a backroom deal here? Do you think? That's from Anne. Well, he might be. David Davis, what a disgrace. We voted out. Damn it. Out means out. Davis is stabbing Brexiteers in the back. Our wages are being suppressed. There is danger ahead, says Tom in Manchester. And on Facebook, Carl Kerridge says, most of what Davis has said and done since June the 23rd has been worrying. Tim Spencer takes a different view and says, Nigel, beating up foreigners again. Of course Davis is right. Well, Tim, David Davis may be right on the economic arguments. Maybe the entirety of British youth are lazy, drunk out of their minds, and won't take any job that's offered them at all. Maybe that's right. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But I tell you what's not right, Tim Spencer. What is not right is when a country votes clearly to end freedom of movement, and the Brexit Secretary is now telling us we may have to live with free movement for years and years to come. Surely, in any sense of what that referendum meant democratically, that cannot be right. At least it's not right to me. I wonder whether it is to Raphael in Richmond.
Hi, Nigel. Can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Hi, Nigel. Thank you for taking my call. I can't say I'm a fan because I am against Brexit. I am an European myself. And I'm actually not happy about the news because I think that it proves to me that this whole Brexit strategy has been wrong from the beginning. I think that the people that are in place at the moment, they are bringing this country into a very difficult position. And, apart from the fact that, us Europeans working here, and I've been working here for over 26 years now, pay my taxes, never been unemployed, and I pay quite a lot of taxes.
Raphael, when you say you're a European, I mean, what actually are you then?
I'm Spanish.
Spanish. So do you feel European first and Spanish second?
I feel Spanish 100%. And I feel that, yes, I understand that Europe has its problems, and I understand that, I understand the will of the people that they want to live. I think that if the whole campaign was flawed on both sides entirely, let's not talk about the $350 million for the NHS because I think that was a fluke. But, at the end of the day, this is just proving to me that the people that are in power, the people that are taking this movement ahead, are what they are. They are playing us for fools.
Yeah.
And I think that the people that voted it, honestly, you deserve what you get. And I think that...
Well, Raphael, you are a true Democrat because you disagreed with the Brexit vote, but you share the suspicion, and perhaps not quite, but nearly anger, that many Brexit voters are feeling tonight, because we're not, by the looks of it, going to get what we actually voted for. And that is wrong, isn't it?
Oh, that's definitely wrong. But also, I think the people that have been here working legally and for a long, long time, today, for example, they don't know what's going to happen to them. I myself, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I've been legally here, living. I have children here. They are British. They have British passport. I don't have a British
passport.
Raphael,
can I give you total reassurance on this? Whether we've let too many people in or not, particularly since 2004, is a debate you can agree on or disagree on. I think we did. But, Raphael, everybody that came in, particularly since 2004, came into the country legally because the government, through our EU membership, allowed them to do that. Not one person, not one single person in the Leave campaign ever said that anyone that had legally come to Britain would not continue to have their rights to stay. All right? That is not even a question.
Nevertheless, that is not... It feels like today that we are being used as a negotiation pawn.
Well, I very much hope... I don't believe you are, Raphael, for one moment, but what I would say is, you know, Mrs May did make this point in her speech last month. It's a point she needs to make again. Raphael, I thank you for your very interesting call. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show, exclusively here on LBC, live from Washington, and it's 7:15.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
Until a couple of days ago, the name Wayne Shaw didn't mean that much in the world of football. The Football Association and the Gambling Commission opened investigations after Shaw confessed he was aware that Sun Bets, the bookmakers, offered odds of 8 to 1 he would live up to his roly-poly goalie moniker by eating the snack on camera during the game. Well, let's speak to Graham Lasso.
The fact it was a pie and the fact that it was the story that goes along with Wayne is funny and makes it funny on the face of it, but actually behind that it's a very serious issue, because if he knew what he was doing, then effectively it's the same as offering inside information to people on the outcome of a certain event during a game, and that's the serious bit.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast every weekday morning from 7, only on LBC.
With Hampton by Hilton, making you welcome at over 40 hotels in Europe.
BT and Sky have just raised their prices yet again. If you're one of their broadband customers, you're probably not too happy about it. But did you know from when they tell you you have 30 days to leave your contract penalty-free? And when you switch to TalkTalk, we guarantee no price rises on any of our fixed price plans. Like our best ever savings on our totally unlimited fast broadband, just £20 a month including line rental, guaranteed for your whole 24-month plan. Saving up to £417 versus BT. It's for new and existing customers too. So switch today at talktalk.co.uk. TalkTalk. For everyone. Contract and conditions apply.
Now, we have a long list of things to get through in today's meeting, so let's get started. We need someone to pick up the cakes for the cake sale.
I'll do it.
Sally, brilliant. And we need someone to drive to the florist for the...
Me? And why don't I pick up the school rabbit from the vet?
Aren't you scared of rabbits?
Well, it's time to face my fear. Whatever reasons you find to come back, you'll earn Tesco Club Card points when you fill up at Esso. Many happy returns. Participating sites only. Terms and minimum spend apply. See esso.co.uk for details.
The Global Academy is a state school for 14 to 19-year-olds interested in a media career. Our next Meet the Principal Day is on the 24th of February. Register now at globalacademy.com.
What if someone else did all the donkey work to find out if you had PPI for free? Well, that's exactly what we do here at the Claims Guys. Just text EASY to 60777 and we'll do the digging to discover if you ever had PPI added to one of your accounts. After that, you can pursue the claim yourself or ask us to do it for you. It's your choice. But if you don't text EASY to 60777, you'll never know. The Claims Guys, the PPI people.
The Claims Guys.
Don't break down now. I've got friends round tonight.
Oh, don't break down now. I've got to open the shop.
Whether you're running a home or a business, you'll want a boiler that won't let you down. With a new one from British Gas, you'll not only get £400 off, you'll get a fixed price guarantee and a 5-year warranty for added peace of mind. But, I'm getting to it, Wilbur. You only have until 31st of March to get £400 off. Search British Gas or call 0800 754 754. Conditions apply.
Who's Off helps you to easily manage your staff leave, holiday and sickness, no matter what your company size. Start your free trial today at whosoff.com.
The family member who was concerned. The neighbour who felt uneasy. The teacher who was worried. The coach who noticed at practice. And you. Child abuse. If you think it, report it. Visit gov.uk/tackle child abuse to find out how. Together, we can tackle child abuse.
This is LBC, the Nigel Farage Show. Live from Washington. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Brexit hero and now Secretary David Davis, in a speech in Latvia, says it may well be years and years before we end the freedom of movement of people, of workers coming into Britain, and we won't do so until it's in the national interest. And I'm asking particularly Brexit voters, do you feel angry? Do you feel betrayed by these comments? And I've also had a call before the break from Raphael from South London saying that actually, as a Remain voter, he's unhappy with this because it's clearly a breach of faith. A couple of things that really strike me is we get the argument that without Eastern European workers, our hotels couldn't function, the fruit and cauliflowers would rot in the fields. Well, none of that was happening, was it, before we opened the doors in 2004? And the other thing that's happening that really gets me is, and it started with Tony Blair, and it's gone on, even Boris Johnson has done it, is that we say, we've got to have all these people coming in from across Europe because our youngsters are useless, fat, lazy, drunk, they're no good. Amazing, isn't it? British governments slagging off our own people to make way for foreign workers. And I believe Blair introduced that narrative as an excuse to cover up for the fact that his government estimate of 13,000 people extra a year proved, in fact, to be hundreds of thousands. I think it's absolutely awful to condemn all of your young people. And I've certainly found, travelling around the country, that certainly is not always the case. I met a young girl in Peterborough, outside the cathedral. I was canvassing, campaigning in the 2009 European elections, and she'd just been refused a job on a packing line because she couldn't speak Polish. And she was very, very angry about that. Carl on Facebook says, travel outside of London and the major cities, and you'll see the jobs are being done by British people. Stop saying Brits don't want the work. And I have to say, I'm sure we do have, our fair share of young people who would rather live on benefits and do nothing. But I think to categorise British youth, all of them, like that, is absolutely wrong. That's my view. What does Kenny in Enfield think?
Hello, Nigel. Good evening. Nice to talk to you, yeah?
Good evening, good evening.
I don't know, you may remember who is talking to you. There was a day you were staying in a King's Cross about 6 years ago, and you see a black guy carrying a ladder in King's Cross. I am the one talking to you.
I remember.
You definitely you will remember because you look at me many times, and I recognize you, Nigel Farage. I'm sorry, the way I call now is, I don't think you understand what you're pushing British people to. You are dealing with Europeans, with 27 states, with British economic power, very great and beautiful. Hello, you remember the other 27 states wouldn't allow you to get things you got. I'm from Africa, yeah? And the benefit in which British passport to get all over the world, I'm telling you, this thing, they will never get it in next 10 years. Yeah, the people who suffer from this passport of intimidation and insult are people from Africa, especially I, who come from Nigeria. Yeah, and I'm telling you that other European countries learn what British people do, that is why they intimidate us. I want you to focus in making sure that British people who haven't got a job, that they get a job. And how you can make this is to enforce the council to create jobs. I do cleaning, and I know that there are massive too many jobs. If council can be able to enforce that, the road will be clean.
Well, Kenny, there's a lot local councils can do, and you could argue that local councils could prioritise British workers over workers from the European Union or indeed anywhere in the world and put them there first. You could, but I've no doubt if you did that, you'd be told you were doing something discriminatory. Kenny, I thank you for your call. Andrew in Bromley, are you a Brexit voter that's angry with David Davis?
Yes, I am. And,
right, okay.
I'll tell you why. I was in Gloucester at the time of the vote, and I campaigned on my own, and I got lots of young people to believe in the Brexit dream for themselves, and I made them see the reasons why it was necessary. And for me personally, one of the reasons why I voted was border control, because no country can enforce its territorial integrity without border control. Now, I'm a migrant myself, and it's so surprising why I'll be so strong on this point. I'm here as a worker on a work visa. To get a work visa, you have to earn above a certain amount of money, and to stay here permanently, you have to earn over £35,000. And it doesn't stop there. You pay health insurance charge £200 a year. So if you're going to be here for 5 years, that's going to be £1,000, and you pay that at the time you're applying to get your visa. It doesn't stop.
Andrew, where are you from? Andrew, where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
Right, okay, because if you were from the European Union, you wouldn't need to do any of that, would you?
No, you wouldn't. You have to pass an English test. The rules are stringent. Now, I don't mind it because it just shows that whatever I've got and whatever I've earned it based on merit, and the facts are there to prove. Now, if you have people who are coming in who can't even contribute as much as we do, we need to be qualified academically. You have to have the minimum of a BSc. I've got an MBA. Now, you have people who have no qualifications, no skills whatsoever, and they can just walk in and do what they like, and there is no control. There is no control. I feel that's unfair. If you want to talk about fairness and equality, then the rules have to be equal across the board. Whether you are from Africa or whether you are from
Andrew, you make your point, as Kenny did before, both of you originating from Africa, that we finished up in this bizarre position where we give totally preferential treatment to people from the European Union against other parts of the world, the Commonwealth countries, you name it. And one of the arguments for Brexit was that we would be able not only to control immigration coming into Britain, but not to discriminate against people from one country in favour of those from another. Andrew, I thank you for your call. Andrew there, who makes the point he does not object as a migrant worker to having to pay his way. Text and tweets, Nigel, how can you say anything was the main reason people voted for Brexit? We were given a yes or no, there was no detail, and so no main reason. Get it together, Nigel. Neil from Finchley. Sorry, Neil. There were lots of reasons people voted to remain and lots of reasons people voted to leave. But the primary reason people voted to leave, and the reason the turnout was massively higher than the general election the year before, is the one thing that really got people was being members of the European Union meant we'd lost control of our borders, which is why a lot of us are so angry with David Davis. Hi, Nigel. Theresa May commented on this. They've just gone power crazy and think they can make decisions that go against the majority. Well, there are many that will think that. Nigel, I'm starting to wonder how we even managed to function before the influx from Eastern Europe in 2004. Anton, you clearly have a very short memory. All the crops were rotting in the fields. There was nobody prepared to work in hotels. What utter nonsense those arguments are. Whatever happened to the bulldog spirit? Britain coped perfectly well before the EU. We are such wimps now. Vicky on Facebook says, scapegoating the immigrants has long...
I see you in some smart trousers this morning. Yeah, we're doing the same again. Yeah, you are as well. Am I? Yeah. When is it? March the... Is it if you're around, you might be slow. No.
Under his government, I think we can vote in who we want after we've agreed to leave the European Union. Then it would be a good idea that we just vote in somebody else that says, no, I'm sorry, you're still allowing far too many.
Well, Peter, that argument is right and proper, when it comes to each successive general election that happens. But this was a referendum. It was the biggest exercise in democracy in the history of the United Kingdom. And we were very specific, in my view, in terms of what we said. And look, if the argument is that we've got a booming economy relative to the Eurozone and we need lots of foreign migrant labour, fine. Do it on a work permit, a 6-month or a year's work permit or whatever it is. But don't ally it to social security. Goodness me, these payments are now £1 billion a year to migrants in this country. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show, exclusively on LBC, live from Washington. It's 7:30 and time for the news with Rupert Barcia.
Cressida Dick says she's very humbled after being appointed as Britain's most senior police officer. The 56-year-old becomes the first female Met Police Commissioner. The fiancé of children's author Helen Bailey has been found guilty of drugging and murdering her at the home they shared in Hertfordshire. 56-year-old Ian Stewart later reported her missing to police, claiming she had left a note saying she was going away. He'll be sentenced tomorrow. And there's a warning that there could be widespread travel disruption tomorrow because of Storm Doris. Weather warnings have been upgraded ahead of possible snow and strong winds. LBC weather. Windy overnight with rain spreading to most areas. Snow possible in northern parts. A low of 1 Celsius. Tomorrow, Storm Doris will bring widespread showers and gales. A high of 13 degrees.
LBC Travel, good evening, I'm Andy Lake. Well, still severe delays southbound on the A12 from Old Ford to the Blackwall Tunnel after emergency repairs in the tunnel, which may affect people heading to the Brit Awards. It's also slow through the Rotherhithe Tunnel in both directions, with people avoiding those closures. In Beckton, the A13 Newham Way has a lane blocked westbound. That's because of an accident at Prince Regent Lane, causing queues on the approach. There's only a one ferry service running on the Woolwich Ferry tonight. That's because of a mechanical problem. And in Bedfordshire, the M1 crawling this evening northbound between junction 10 for Luton Airport and 11 for Dunstable. The outside lane of 3 has been closed by an accident. As for the rails, Southern have no service between Clapham Junction and Milton Keynes Central, Hampton Leatherhead and Guildford, with a reduced service across the rest of the network as the strike continues. And because of the tube strikes, no service on the central line from Leytonstone to Woodford and Epping, with a reduced service on the rest of the line. Also no service on the Waterloo and City line. And there are severe delays on the Circle and Hammersmith and City lines as well tonight. For more real-time traffic updates, go to lbc.co.uk.
This is LBC.
Do you have a pension? Maybe you've got more than one. How do you know if they're in the right pension funds, making as much money as possible for your retirement? Answer is, you probably don't. At The Pension Works, our fully qualified independent financial advisors could add instant value to your retirement fund. Simply text the word YES to 83222 for your free Pension Works health check. That's YES to 83222 today. Your pensions working harder with The Pension Works.
A new Vauxhall Vivaro comes with 4 years 0% APR representative, up to 4 years warranty and 4 years servicing and roadside assistance. It's easy to drive, easy on the wallet and even easier on the eye. That leaves you free to do more of what you do best. Less getting the van sorted, more getting the job done. Search Vauxhall Vivaro. Conditional sale. 4 years 0% APR representative. Minimum 20% deposit plus VAT at 20% on total price. Financed by Vauxhall Finance. Subject to status 18+. T's and C's. Mileage limitations and exclusions apply.
TfL and the Mayor of London are growing the capital's fleet of electric and hybrid buses. Their significantly lower emissions are helping to bring cleaner air to London. Great news for, well, basically anything that breathes when you think about it. For more information, search TfL Improvements. Transport for London. Every journey matters.
People who've had their dental implants at TDC Implant Centre have had their lives transformed.
I had problems with other dentists who said it was just too complicated.
I'm Dr. Michael Zivitz, dental specialist at TDC Implant Centre. Even if your own dentist has told you nothing can be done, talk to us. Our award-winning treatment could give you a life-changing smile. In just 1 day, we'll give you a full set of beautiful teeth fixed in your mouth. Around 3 months later, we exchange your fixed teeth for a new permanent set.
I just wanted to get it sorted properly so I had permanent teeth again, and that's what I've got.
So see smileinaday.co.uk or call TDC Harley Street on 0203 7334 986.
What is the only bird that can fly backwards? What's the name for a fear of cheese? What are the pieces of paper from a hole punch called?
If you know, you have exceptional general knowledge. But at Hiscox, our insurance experts have chosen small business as their specialist subject. That's why more than 200,000 UK businesses rely on us to help provide the right cover. Hiscox, business insurance for the small and the brave.
And the answers: A, the hummingbird, B, turophobia, C, chads.
The Nigel Farage Show, live from Washington, only on LBC.
So the Brexit Secretary, David Davis, in a speech in Latvia, says maybe freedom of movement of people into Britain will go on for many years. And we're debating whether that is a betrayal of the way people voted in the referendum on June 23rd last year. And many of you who phoned in who are Brexit voters and feel that it is. But if you think actually Davis is right, then please let me know. And several of you contacting us saying, why is Nigel in Washington? I was asked yesterday whether I was in Trump Tower in New York. I wasn't. Well, I'll tell you why. Every year, the Conservative activists in the Republican Party have a big annual conference in Washington. 10,000 plus people turn up to it. And this week, for the first time since 1981, when Ronald Reagan spoke, a Republican president will be addressing the masses, and Trump will speak at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, and I'm honoured to say that I've been asked to speak just after him. So that's really quite something, that a foreigner is allowed onto a Republican Party platform. So I'll make sure I don't overstay my welcome, and I do have my travel insurance with me, I promise you. And a quick comment on what's happened in the last couple of days in London. Emmanuel Macron, youngish, good-looking socialist, running as an independent for the French presidential elections. And remarkably, Mrs May invited him to number 10 Downing Street yesterday. Now, I can see why Macron wanted to be in London and wanted to meet the Prime Minister and go to number 10, because there are 300,000 French voters living in London. It makes it actually the equivalent to France's 6th biggest city. After that, Macron went on and gave a speech in London where he condemned and criticised Brexit, said we should stay part of the European Union, and hoped that France would take lots of jobs away from this country. Quite why is the British Prime Minister promoting a socialist candidate to be President of France who absolutely believes in the European project? I don't know. And why, if she's doing that, does she refuse to meet Marine Le Pen, who at the moment appears to be the favourite to win the first round? Surely it is crazy for the British government to get involved in foreign elections to this degree and not show respect to both sides in this argument. Indeed, isn't it rather reminiscent of what almost everybody in Britain did by backing Hillary Clinton and saying Trump was a baddie, and yet he won? Last year, we saw Brexit. Last year, we saw Trump. Last year, we saw the Italian Prime Minister removed after a referendum. And Mrs May, if you're listening, it is not impossible that Marine Le Pen could win these elections. There we are, a Conservative Prime Minister lining up with French socialism. I never thought I would see it. But back to our question, is David Davis betraying us? Do you feel angry as a Brexit voter? And I'm going to ask Oliver in Woking what he thinks.
Thanks, Nigel. Evening. First off, I'd like to say good luck on Friday after Trump. Of course, the British are the ones who burned down the White House. So-called European. I worked for Jean-Claude Juncker, whatever his name is. He, of course, is leading the way, and he's saying that we need to pay out for it now. We're not going to pay out for it, quite frankly. Merkel has opened the floodgates to all the migrants. She's done the best thing to lead globalization of this world. The British Empire is built up through trade, through that globalization. And don't forget, we are prisoners of the French at the end of the day. So all the best to Macron and to May, because we need to go back to our roots. We need to work together to get through this. And it's unfortunate for Hillary Clinton because, you know what they say.
Well, Oliver, you're making too many points there. I'm sorry, but a lot of points there. You're covering a huge amount of ground on a line that is a bit dodgy. But either way, your points, particularly about Jean-Claude Juncker and the lack of reality we're seeing in the European Union over all of this, are quite right, and I agree with them. And my next caller is Stephen in Chichester. Stephen, did you vote to leave in the referendum?
Well, I'm too young to vote, actually. I'm 17, but I campaigned really hard for Brexit. So, yeah, I spent hours and hours and hours. So all I wanted to say was, look, I'm unemployed. I really want a job. And politicians like David Davis, they say, look, we need immigrants because young people don't work hard enough. They won't do the jobs that immigrants do. They want benefits. It's simply not true. I work damn hard, and I'm really, really looking for a job. There's just simply too many people out there in the jobs market, and that's because of overpopulation. So yesterday I was trying to find a job on a jobs website. One job, 179 applications. 179 applications. How am I meant to compete against that? It's simply it's simply not true that young people don't work hard, British young people. I mean, all my friends, we all want jobs, we're all looking for jobs. There's simply too few people in this country, and the amount of immigrants that come, it's a massive amount of number, and I know we need immigrants, we definitely need it for the economy to run, but we just simply have too many, and we need to control our borders.
Stephen, would you take a low-paid job?
Yes, I would take any job that I need money. I need money for my student loan. I need money for driving lessons. I would take any job. It's simply not true. I wouldn't take a really low paid job like £2.95 an hour or whatever. But you know, I would work for just as hard as an immigrant would, just as much money as an immigrant would. I really want a job, and I work damn hard. I just think it's ridiculous that politicians say that young people these days they're lazy and they want benefits, etc., etc. I do not want the benefits. I'm not lazy. I really want a job, and immigrants, they can do the job just as good as British people can.
Stephen, from Tony Blair onwards, there have been many who've been slagging off your generation as being no good, useless, lazy, and wanting something for nothing, and you're cool. 17 years old Stephen in Chichester makes the counter-argument beautifully, and I thank you. Michael in Muswell Hill, how do you feel about David Davis's comments?
Well, Nigel, I had to ring. I'm sorry to interrupt the bromance that goes on nicely between yourself and the Brexiteers, but if you're interested in a country opinion, I'll give it to you.
Of course I am. Michael, I am every evening, as you well know, so please, far away.
Okay. Look, Nigel, you and the rest of the Brexiteers have very clearly rejected the idea of a second vote, the public taking a second vote on the final details that the government negotiates with the EU. You've said, no, we've had a vote, we've had our vote, and now we must leave it to the executive to negotiate on our behalf, and you Remainers cannot get involved and moan and look to adjust the detail. We have to trust the executive. Well, Nigel, that works both ways. You cannot deny the right of a Remainer to get involved in the detail, and then, because it's down to the executive, and then do the reverse. And as a Brexiteer, start moaning when they negotiate something different to what you would prefer.
Well, Michael, I mean, the point here that we're debating tonight isn't a second referendum, and I've no doubt that's something over the months to come we'll talk about one hell of a lot. But the point I'm making, Michael, is wasn't it perfectly clear that it was the idea? Well, so you don't think
it wasn't on the paper? It wasn't written down.
Okay,
it wasn't.
Fine. So do you not think that a majority of people who voted Brexit did so because controlling borders was their primary issue.
I have not met and spoken to 17 million people, and neither of you, Nigel. You can give me your opinion, and everybody rings up and give me their opinion, but nobody knows. And the only way to really know is to have another vote. But you reject the idea of asking a detailed question of anybody. So don't complain when the executive does exactly what you've asked them to do, which is negotiate on their behalf.
No, before the negotiations have begun, before Article 50 has even been triggered, the Brexit Secretary is telling us that on the main reason, like it or not, Michael, why so many people voted, why we had that remarkable 73% turnout, namely taking back control of our borders, and they appear to want to sell it out before they've even triggered Article 50. Do you understand why the other side of the argument